Hey guys, in this episode we're going to talk about the film Skyscraper. We're going to talk about the storyline, if it met our expectations. We'll also compare it to some of the other rock movies. This is episode 58 of the Reel-ists Podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Donnie.
And I'm Oscar.
And we have our producer, Ruben, here.
Hello.
Hello, Ruben said. And this is the Reel-ists Podcast. Dun, 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 dun.
I was like, it felt like you were giving this big, like, Reel-ists Podcast shout out. Like,
oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, we can shout out our own
Reel-ists Podcast. Jazz hands.
Spirit fingers.
Oh, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, jazz hands works too. I mean, you can do both.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're a new listener, we want to say welcome. Thank you so much for choosing our podcast to listen to. And you will not be disappointed. That is our promise to you as podcasters.
Yes. We don't know if this was a recommendation from someone that said, hey, check out this podcast. If you found us just by browsing. I don't know if what other way you can find us.
I mean, I think it's like one or the other, right?
But whichever way.
Regardless, that doesn't matter. All that matters is you're listening right now, so we appreciate it.
We want to make sure that, yes, that you will be thoroughly entertained with our discussion of the movie. That's our goal, is to give you an entertaining discussion that hopefully you want to join either with us or with anyone around you or anyone that's seen the movie that you were talking about.
Exactly. And if you're a recurring listener, thank you so much for continuing to listen to our episodes.
You know the drill.
Yeah, you already know. I ain't even got to say nothing else. Once again, just want to encourage you guys to continue to spread the word on the Reel-ists Podcast. We greatly appreciate it. We really, really do. We don't just say that. We really, really are so thankful to know that you guys are out there and recommending us to new listeners. That's so awesome. And we know you could recommend other things to people, but to be recommending our podcast and telling people that they should check us out is really awesome. So thank you so much for doing that. Want to remind you guys can find us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Team Reel-ists. That's Team REELISTS, no dash. Feel free to drop us a comment. Anything,
like
anything
us.
at all. Like us. If
Follow
you
us.
Recommend a movie we should watch. Anything. Any interactions are welcome. So you totally can hit us up anytime on those three platforms, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And we'd appreciate it. We like to interact with you guys.
We do. One day we'll get some like new ways to communicate with you guys.
Yeah, right. Seriously. Also, just want to remind you guys too that if you guys listen to us on iTunes, if you guys could please do us a favor and just rate us. We've got some of our listeners that have done that already, and we so appreciate it.
Yes.
So if you guys want to keep doing, if you haven't done so already and you listen to us on iTunes, please, rate us, leave us a comment, just let us know what we can improve upon, what you'd like to hear from us, anything at all, any feedback you could give us, it would help us out so much. So much. I think that's it, Oscar.
I think so. I think we're ready to get into this Skyscraper.
A father goes to great lengths to save his family from a burning skyscraper. That's from IMDb. That's it. Pretty cut and dry. Pretty straight to the point. Obviously stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which you should already know.
Was that who that was?
It does. So yeah, Skyscraper. Oscar, what'd you think?
I really was expecting like a kind of like a movie that's gonna be like I lose interest. I'm started checking the time. Surprisingly, I was thoroughly entertained for what the premise was. It was very nice to just kind of feel like you're just watching this unrealistic moment, like situation, but it's kind of nice to just see, like, let me see it play out. It's kind of one of those, like, I don't know if I follow with this, but let me see how it plays out. And it is entertaining. You do get your feels. You see like the high views, and you're just like, whoa, that's too high for me. Even I started to get a little anxious when he was just so high up, and to look down and just like, okay, that's just, you're just hanging on the end like nothing, or running from that tall, like,
running from the whatever,
the crane, the long crane. Yeah, it was just like
Yeah, so many.
If you slip and fall,
one little wrong move and like that's it.
So that was fun too, and the villains, while not anything new, it was nice to get a familiar foe, because you know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be like, oh, they know the ins and outs. They know how to get away with some stuff. Oh no, here comes one thing that they weren't expecting, and like you got a lot of predictable plot points. But for a summer blockbuster, that's okay. I feel like that's like the one time where predictability is a good thing, because you can sit back and enjoy it. You're more of like, oh, I just want to see how The Rock's gonna get out of this situation, or is he gonna muscle his way out? Is he gonna have one of those like moments that he picks up a car or something like dramatic, that kind of thing. So you appreciate the predictability in that regard, and it is thoroughly entertaining. I think it was well done. To be honest, there's a lot of comparison to Die Hard. And I can understand that kind of comparison, even the like marketing and the movie itself. But I still felt that this one was more. It wasn't even like an action movie. It was just more of a fun movie. Like you took it serious enough to say, I'm willing to see how this plays out, with an interesting building. That building was really like interesting to say. Like half the floor is business and like fun, and the second half is all homes that you can buy. So yeah,
all residential. I hear you. I'm kind of on the same boat. I mean, it's a it's a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. It's a summer blockbuster. He's gonna come in, with his cape, swoop in and save the day
with his cape.
So he's, because he's like a superhero. He's like a non-superhero.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, he doesn't have, like, supernatural powers, but, like, he's always the hero and he's always saving the day.
And it's just it's very hard for you to really go with who the character is. Like, any role that he plays, I don't take it as this is a character that's not The Rock. I take it as this is The Rock, who has now accepted a job as security, or has now accepted a job as... Like, I've never taken any of his roles to the point where I'm like, this is someone else. This isn't The Rock.
It's like, this is The Rock, but now he's saving his family from a burning building.
Yeah.
But now he's helping his overgrown gorilla friend like battle these other monsters.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the only one that gets that, but like
I think everybody gets that, right?
You don't see like I don't even know what his character's name is. That's what I'm kind of like.
Will Sawyer.
Yeah, like it's like The Rock. It's not Will, it's The Rock, and that's not a bad thing necessarily to his credit, in the sense that he's just a recognizable person. But it's just one of those. Yeah, I hardly remember his character names from any of his movies. The only exception being the Tooth Fairy that he did way back, because he was a Tooth Fairy.
Right.
But yeah, it was very interesting. Very interesting thing that I've noticed about that. It's like any role he does, to me, it's The Rock pretending to be this kind of like doctor or military agent or blah blah whatever. I don't think he's been a doctor. I don't know where I got doctor.
Yeah, maybe not a doctor. His wife was a doctor in this film.
Yeah.
She was a army
army
doctor, or was it Navy? I forgot. But it was played by Neve Campbell.
Yes.
Who I must say that was like such a pleasantry to witness, because I do really like her, and obviously most people know her from Scream. The 1999 horror film. I think it was 1999. A lot of people know her from Wild Things. She was in a couple of episodes of Grey's Anatomy. She's been in a lot of things. She was the voice of Kiara in The Lion King 2: Simba's Pride.
Oh, was she?
She was. That's Kiara.
The adult one?
Yes, the adult Kiara. Yep, that's her. So she, I really, really like her. And so it was nice to see, because I feel like she's kind of been out of the loop for a while. Like, I haven't seen her in anything. Maybe she's been in stuff, but I just haven't watched it. So it was nice to kind of see her. And I believed, like her and The Rock as a married couple. I believed it, cool. Yeah. And I liked I feel like the whole family, even the two child actors that played the kids, everyone was likable. Like, yes. The whole family was likable. So I think that...
Except the bad guys.
Except the bad guy, obviously. But I think that's what is good. I think that's what draws in the audience a lot more, to have, like, likable characters, and it's like you get... So obviously right off the bat, you see it's like these two loving parents, these two little, precious little kids. And it's like, so you're wanting the best for the entire family. So it gets you even more like... when things start to go awry and things are getting more dangerous, and it's like, oh my God, please, like, you're like, please don't let anything happen to any of these 4 people, and nothing's gonna happen because it's a rock movie and he's gonna leave you on a good note. He's not like gonna, because we kind of I read that, at least in that interview, that when we did our review of Rampage,
yeah.
And I read that interview where he's like, people come to my movies to leave feeling good and on a high note. We're not gonna end on any bad notes or any negativity. So I knew going into this film.
I wonder if that's only if he's playing
the main hero,
because, and I'm not saying this just because he's been talked to playing a villain in the DC movies coming up. So it's kind of like, if you're a bad guy, you can't give that like vibe of like, I want everyone to feel good. I mean, like, for the hero, yes, but I don't know if that's like an exception to when he's like being the hero, or if that's all his character, like all his movies that he's in.
Yeah.
Because if he's playing a bad guy, then he must be okay with the plot defeating the bad guy, because good overcomes bad in that regard. Just a quick thought on that, because a lot of his roles that he's coming up with, Jungle Cruise, Jumanji 2, are still some of that, hero role. Like, so that's why I'm just kind of like, what about his roles that he wasn't a hero?
Right.
Was it more of like the story was a good message that he wanted to, help convey? Or, because to me, like, what was it? Gridiron Gang.
Yeah.
Yeah, like things like that were just a little bit more serious. Were those? Is this a new thing, or is this like when he now realized his potential and like his like?
Maybe when he realized his star power, and he he knows, like, when he started doing those big summer blockbuster films and like San Andreas and those things, and it's like,
I think maybe San Andreas probably with the start where
he was like, this is what, like, I don't think it would take like a genius to realize like why people go to see his movies. Like, they're fun, they're kind of like these big epic over the top storylines, and cliche and obviously predictable and stuff, but it's like you said, it's a summer flick, it's a blockbuster, it's a popcorn flick. We go to have a good time. We're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time, kind of thing, And I think too, like, it doesn't take much to watch that it doesn't take much to like watch his films. Like, you don't have to sit there and analyze and really think hard about what's going on, or try to really be invested into like the storyline and listen to every piece of dialogue. It's not one of those films. You can just like kick back, sit back, chit chat with your friends and like just be entertained.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's obviously what we want.
Working,
it works. It's what
our butts were in the seat.
Yeah, we went. It's why we went to see it. We wanted to just kind of be entertained and have a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah. Dang, I had a train of thought just now, and I kind of lost it. So anyways, but the story, the storyline itself was pretty straightforward. Him and his family, they're basically the first family to live in this building. It wasn't the Pearl, right? That was just the one that
was the little globe.
That was the little globe that was at the top of this building. But the building is like the highest building in the world. And it's basically like a community just built upon itself, going upwards.
Yeah.
Instead of extending outwards horizontally, it's vertically.
If we're gonna
hundreds and hundreds of stories in the air,
like 200 levels or something like that. It becomes more of like, all right, if we want to talk about this building, like, why would you like go for this funding? I don't know. I can understand a standard building to hold offices and you lease it and you can get that going.
I think one of the pros to it is like, you're not, like I said, you're not going horizontally and taking up so much ground space. So it's like it's it's vertically, so it's like it's not taking up as much surface area.
Yeah, I see that, but I don't know. To me, I'm having just that like, that's just too tall,
Yeah, I know, dude. Tell me about it.
And it's funny because it's one of those where it's like, but what if there's a fire and you're at the very top? You can't just like jump,
Like, what happened? What happened in the movie? Exactly. Then you're stuck.
And if they do a Skyscraper 2, I'm sure it's gonna be something. It was like, now the water is overflowing and now they have to go all the way.
Now they're drowning. Now they have to swim all the way to the top. No water's getting out. So the villains in this film. So basically, where the friction happens is you have these bad guys who are kind of, I guess they're trying to destroy what the architect of this building created.
Well, no, they were. Well, their main thing was they were trying to lure the owner to leave with the device that had
all the people's information.
Yes. All the I don't want to say bad guys, but they're essentially with like all the bad guys' bank account information that the owners stole from to fund this. Or I think he said like it was insurance. But
yeah, basically.
Yeah, so
because he kind of knew he'd probably get screwed over somehow.
Yeah.
So he stole all this information as a form of insurance to kind of cover his butt.
Yes.
So when the bad guys found out that he had this information, they were
sent
trying
someone
to
go
get it out.
Yes.
So how they tried to do that was to
put it in a situation where he has to leave the building, and then they can catch him and steal it and get away with it, and get like their fingers together and laugh maniacally and maniacally is what I said.
And unfortunately, The Rock and his entire family is kind of stuck in the crossfire. So basically, literally,
well, I mean, we learned earlier on. I don't know if we said it was spoiler, but
spoiler.
Halfway through. Well, I don't think we said anything spoiler.
No, we didn't say anything like crazy.
But it's he's security. I think he's like doing like he's a third party security check to see how all the security features are operating, to see if everything is operating successfully and if it's implemented well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he has the awareness of the building, and then he has his friend who was always like evil and
kind of double crossed him in the end.
In the beginning.
I mean, not in the end. Yeah, sorry, in the beginning. So, anyways, I mean, fast forward to the middle. Basically, his family's stuck on a level that's above the fire.
Yes.
And the fire is just continuing to spread upward. And The Rock is out of the building, but he has to break his way in to try to save his family. And
so he goes on this crane.
So a lot of very, very unrealistic moments. And I mean,
very
I don't want to harp too much on that, but they are like
the Reel-ists Podcast.
We're the Reel-ists Podcast. We got to keep it real. So it's like, he uses this crane, and it doesn't go all the way to the building, so he has to jump a good amount. So like he has to run and jump off the crane. He's like hundreds and hundreds of feet, thousands of feet maybe in the air. I don't know, like
really high,
probably thousands of feet in the air.
They say it in the movie, but no one really pays attention.
Yeah, we wasn't paying attention to all that. We
no
just
one looks
like
at the schematics. It's
all
exactly.
And he runs and jumps and catches his hand on the ledge. Which, let me just say that where he jumped into, that because that whole window was broken. So like there had to have been so much broken glass and so many metals of shredded metals.
Yes.
So when his hand did catch onto the rail of the building, dude, his hand would have been like ground beef. His hand would have been completely shredded and torn. That was one thing I thought of. I'm like, there's no way you just no, there's no way.
There's no way. Yeah.
So that was one thing.
And the duct tape, or how the duct tape was.
Yeah, trying to be Spider-Man when you want to be Spider-Man so bad. So you So if he was in the building,
if we're gonna give kids bad idea, that's the bad idea.
That's the worst one. Mr. Rogers would be pissed if he saw that. So he had to basically get to these panels, these wind panels or something on the outside of the building. So he had to Spider-Man his way on the outside of the building. So he put a bunch of duct tape around his feet and his hands, and I was like, that's all right, come on.
There's a lot of things like that though.
Yeah, and a lot of just close calls. But him being The Rock, he's he perseveres and he overcomes.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I know I said those moments are unrealistic and outlandish, and it's that would never happen in real life. But like I said, summer blockbuster flick, even though we know he's not gonna fall off the building and die midway through the movie, we know that's not gonna happen. But even though, I was still oh, be careful, oh gosh, kind of peeking through my fingers.
You still have
you're still in it.
You still go through the motions of when you watch a movie. It's more of afterwards when you go look back and you're just all right. I don't know what universe you lived in, but I want to live in there where I can jump, into a broken window and not get harmed.
Dude, yeah.
I'd
like to know.
Those kinds of that's the kind of world I would want to live in, to be doing those kinds of stunts. And there's a lot of those kinds of just crazy stunts. And
one of them that I did like too, and this was one of the things I did like about this film, was that even though The Rock had to do a lot of stuff, the family kind of had to work together to kind of well, not so much the kids, but the mom.
Yeah.
I feel the mom had to kind of Neve Campbell's character, she had to kind of step up and do some things too.
Yeah.
And she was and part of the reason they were all able to come back together at the end as a family was because like of her part too. Like I don't think it was just The Rock that did everything, you know?
Well, technically, yeah. If it wasn't for the wife, Rock and the daughter would have died in the spear because it was just getting caught up with smoke.
Yeah. But like even the part where she had to put her son on her back and walk across that that board, that plank, you know, over like all those flames.
Yeah.
Super unrealistic and super just movie.
Well, The Rock holding it together.
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh, jeez, come on.
Like,
but
we know you're strong. We're not saying you're not.
Yeah. But I mean, I really that was great too, and I was like, yeah, like, and we kind of, you said to me like, dang, Mom of the Year award. And I was like, that is true. And it's like, I mean, Parents of the Year award, like the dad and the mom, like, shoot, those are parents that go above and beyond to do whatever it takes.
Those are the parents that say, when they say go do your homework, I'm gonna go do it because I know that if we're in danger, they're gonna save me and make me not get harmed.
Yeah.
The spear. I want to talk about the spear real quick because it's one that I was just like, what is this for? Like when they went and they were just like, oh, this can be anything, and then it makes it look like it opens up to see like the actual,
like you're just floating.
Yeah.
Like it's yeah.
And I was like, what? Okay.
And your point is,
can I not look at a camera and be like, oh, look at this?
I'm just like, who would want it? Like, I mean, I'm afraid of heights, so I'm biased. So I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't. It's like people that go on a glass elevator, and as they're going up, they all they see is like the ground beneath them. Like that doesn't do anything for me. Like, no, thank you. Like, thanks, but no thanks.
Well, that would have given you a heart attack.
So yeah, so I'm like, that doesn't appease to me. But like, why would that? Like, what's the point? Just to be like, ooh, look, it looks like I'm so floating, or I'm in the clouds or something, I guess.
I like, the only exception I would want to that is if I have powers and I can fly in the air and, you know, that kind of situation. I don't want to just, to me, like, okay, what am I going to get from getting a super high point of view of our world? I'm like, to me, like, when I get on a plane, that's good enough. I was like, oh, look, everything looks like squares and rectangles.
Right. Like, out of this like little window.
Like, that's good enough.
Like that much, yeah, that's all I need. Yeah, I don't need much. That's all I need.
But yeah, so that's one of those like ridiculous concepts where it's like, I get they were trying to think big and they were trying to be like, oh, this is latest technology being implemented and this is what we can have now. But it was one I was just like, I do not, like, I don't see as an achievement. I feel like that's just a waste. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. I mean, because they didn't show the like importance of it. I understand if it was like important because it was like, you know, a place where you get healed or a place where, you know, you can understand yourself better or something along those lines. But it was just more of like a.
It was just more of a like, ooh, and look what else this girl can do, kind of thing. So I mean, it didn't really add much. It wasn't necessary, but I mean, I guess, you know, some people thought it was cool. So there's that. But anyways. So, you know, we say all this to say the movie ends on a good note. We'll just go to the end. Everyone's fine. The bad guys, I think the
bad guys get their
86th.
86th.
You know, 86th.
I've never heard of that phrase.
No, you haven't heard of that?
No.
I didn't make that up, right, Ruben? That's a thing, right?
86?
86th? Yeah, okay. Bad guys get 86th. The Rock and his family survive. All is right with the universe. We got exactly what we wanted.
The building shall continue.
Yeah, the building will, I'm sure, get rebuilt.
It's gonna be just like Infinity War will return, question.
Right. The Pearl will return, question mark. So, Oscar, I mean, this is, you know, another Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson popcorn blockbuster flick. Where does this fall on the ranking for you for, like, his kind of movies? I mean, we're talking about San Andreas, we're talking about Jumanji, we're talking about... you know, I wouldn't throw Moana in there. That's kind of its own thing. But like, Rampage.
That's a tough one.
Baywatch. You know, you can throw some Fast. Well, don't throw Fast 8 in there.
It's really tough, to be honest, because it's just like, am I going for like what actions he did were most memorable out of all of them? Because if that was the case, I can see like San Andreas and Jumanji being more of like things that I can be more of like, oh, I can actually see him doing those actual things in real life or something to that degree. It depends on what what the basis of it is. If it's just pure enjoyment,
I think I'm just going with just pure enjoyment.
With pure enjoyment, and
with him as the main star.
That's a tough one. I mean, I don't think.
Do you think this is your favorite, or
Well, no, it's not my favorite, and it's only because I just feel like this was one where it was like a self-contained, like, you know, this wasn't The Rock showing his greatest power, but this was just more flexing his muscles, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, like you said in the beginning, it didn't have the most action. There was a lot of suspenseful moments, but it wasn't a lot. There wasn't like a ton of combat or a ton of, you know, punches being thrown and all that kind of stuff. It was, a lot of it was just like, oh, don't fall, you know, kind of thing. So
yeah, I feel like there's been other movies that has worked well with his kind of style that he likes to do. I think, to me, like, honestly, like, Rampage is a little bit better than Skyscraper, even though, you know, yes, you have giant monsters and that's even more unrealistic. You still have this belief of he can help lead, like, victories with these monsters, rather than you can believe that he can go into a building from a crane and survive and not get hurt, and his entire family gets unharmed and, like, all that stuff. It was just a lot of fortune movie magic on that part of it, that it's kind of more of like, all right, I enjoyed it, but I still feel like other things that he has done have been more memorable or more favorable in terms of enjoyment. Like, I think, to me, like, Jumanji is very entertaining, and I don't know if that's because he also has a great supporting cast of great, you know.
And I still haven't seen that one. Crazy.
Yeah, you actually.
And it's crazy. I honestly, and I should have known better. I should know better by now, but I didn't think it was gonna be as well received as it was. And I had people, and I'm talking like older generation people, like who like have, you know, obviously they've seen the first original Jumanji, and I've had people say that this remake was better than the original.
Wow. And
that was when I heard that, and I mean, this was like an older couple that said that. They were like, "Oh, that was a lot better than the original." And I was like, "Really?" Because I'm so like die hard for the original. I loved it. Like one of those movies I could watch over and over again. But apparently, I need to check out Jumanji, and I for sure need to see it before the sequel comes out.
You know, till 2019.
I know, right?
Time is catching up.
Time is ticking. All right, for sure.
What about you?
I think this was one of my favorites of his. I think probably, you know what? I really, really liked San Andreas. I remember I left that one going, dang, that was good. And it hit all the right notes for me. And it had enough action and enough, like, kind of science fiction in it, and you know, city destruction.
But yeah, I think that's what that's what it's more of, just like, for The Rock to have more bigger threats is when it's more entertaining than when it's like a self-contained.
Right.
Like this was very equivalent to like a home invasion.
Exactly. Yeah. Like exactly, for sure. So yeah, I'd probably put San Andreas first, but I mean, I would put this one probably like.
Well, you can't put Jumanji on there.
I can't put Jumanji on there yet, but I mean, this one would probably go like, I'd say like second or third.
Yeah, I feel like while he can bring the entertainment, I feel like it works better when he has a cast with him that adds to it. Yeah. I feel like he's a good main ingredient, but you do need your sauces and your.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
you need a little acidity. And then you need some salt to balance that out, and then you need like a, you know.
Right, and he had a great one side, like, you know, I'm trying to keep it with this plate theme.
We're just like fooding it up with these episodes.
But like that, yeah, like I feel like, you know, he had one in the character's wife, like that was a great one. But the owner of it was just like a little not strong enough. It was just like plot convenience, plot point use.
Yeah. Needed a little more herbs to really
and the bad
enhance
guy,
the aromatics of the
right, and the bad guy was a bad guy, so it wasn't a strong mix for it to be a complete memorable one. But yeah, sorry not to cut you off.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Did you have like a favorite scene or a memorable moment that stood out?
A realistic scene.
Yeah. One that might actually happen.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think of what was. I liked. Is in terms of just pure entertainment, I did like the ending battle when they were in the spear and the spear was giving them like the mirror reflection, so they didn't know, you know, which one was real, and they were trying to, and the daughter was running around scared, and it was like trying to get to her, but
she was annoying me at that part because I was like, shut up, She's like, Daddy, Daddy. I'm like, shut up. Damn, you're being loud.
You're going to be if you were the dad in that situation, all you hear is, hey.
I'd be like, shh, shh.
But yeah, no, that I feel like that was probably a good, fun, like not just like visual piece, but it was also like that big do the bad guys get away? Do the good guys? We know the answer, but it's still fun to just have that moment. It was like, all right, this is where it all comes together.
Right. For sure. I like that scene too. I guess I'm gonna stick with what I already said. The scene where the mom had to walk across the board with her son on her back and the Rock holding up the bridge. I don't know why. I guess it really just spoke to me because it's like it's life or death, and you have like everyone's doing the parents are just working as a unit to ensure like the safety of everyone, like the Rock's like, okay wife, I got you, like just bring our son home, and the wife's like, okay, I'm gonna walk across this plank with our son on my back, and like we're gonna do this. And it's like, I just feel like it was just like obviously I'm sure they were all scared, but like the parents were like, we have to protect our children. We're going to do what we have to do.
Right.
So it's like, and it's over the top, but I just really liked that scene. And like I said, I knew they weren't going to, I was 99.9% sure that they weren't going to die. So
it would have been, it probably would have been more a standout had like that would have been the part where the wife sacrifices the safety of her son for, to live, but she has to die, or if the son accidentally falls, like doesn't grab onto the mom or slips or something like that.
Right.
That would have been a dramatic moment, which is not what this movie is.
Yeah. Seriously. Okay, so after all that said, what would you rate this film? What real score would you give it?
Depends on what we're basing it on. If we're taking this like a serious movie, then it's like a bad score, but if we're going with just the
just
pure entertainment.
Pure entertainment.
I feel like it's unfair. I feel like that's kind of like giving it just like a child booster.
Our listeners are going to be like, you didn't base it off pure entertainment when you reviewed this film.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You focused all on the performances by the actors.
I feel like this one is going to be like a child booster seat. Like we're not taking this as a serious movie.
Right, we're like putting training wheels on it.
I will say with just the entertainment form, I will say it is. It's tough. I'm trying to make the decision right now, but it's kind of just like, am I generous on this, or am I more of like the realistic? I will say in terms of watching this and knowing it's a summer blockbuster, it's a 3 point. I don't know why I keep saying 3.0. Yeah, 3.0. I don't know why I keep saying the point. It is a 3 out of 5 just because it is a solid, entertaining film, and you do have a lot of moments where, even though it's not realistic, you still kind of just want to see what happens, or you kind of put yourself in be like, I would not be doing this right now. I would rather do this, or I probably would just call and be like, wife, you better find a way to get down here.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm down here. You're going to have to make
right.
it.
Like, that kind of, you still have those kinds of fun thoughts of like, what would you do while you're watching the movie? So yeah, for those like entertainment based factors, it was a great movie. It has a lot of predictability, a lot of flaws, a lot of unrealistic things that do take away from the impact of this movie. Compared to something like, just for comparison, to something like San Andreas, where yes, a lot of that kind of damage may not happen in that way, but an earthquake can happen, so you can kind of believe it to some degree. This one's hard to really believe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, The Rock still delivers on the action. Well, not action, on the thrills and the adventure form of it. And yeah, it's still just another popcorn flick run, and I can't really go too harsh on it, because that's literally the point of this movie, is to sit back, relax, and not take it too serious.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be a little more mean, I guess. I was going to say, I had a word. Critical.
No.
I kept saying critique in my head, and I was like, that's not right. I'm going to be a little more critique, and then I was like, oh, critical. I'm going to give it a 2.5. I know it's a popcorn flick, and I know we're going into a film that's going to have predictability and things like that, but a lot of the situations were very just like movie magic, and it was good, and it was entertaining. I got what I expected. I got what I kind of, I guess, not what I wanted, but I mean, I got what I expected. You know, I wasn't disappointed. It's not like I left the theater going, "Oh, I'm so mad." Or
right, but at the same time,
I'm trying to like
anything unexpected. Yeah.
I don't want to be. I know I've given I don't want to give it a 3 because I know I've given some movies that I thought were really well done a 3, and I don't want to be, if I look back on the episodes and be like, oh, I gave this film a 3. Oh, but I also gave Skyscraper a 3. And Skyscraper's nowhere nearly as good as that one, So I'm trying to not.
There's different things to consider too.
I mean,
yeah. So it's
tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
When we're doing films like this, and then you're looking at it, our whole thing is considering how certain scenes and aspects play into real life, and so it's if we're scoring it just based off that, I mean, this would get a lot lower. We're gonna
just have to start breaking down our real score.
We're gonna have to update our rubric and kind of see
for our action real score, right? It receives this out of
different grading criteria by genre.
Our realistic reel, it's this out of this.
I know, seriously,
it is tough because it's. You watch it and it's not like you get bored. It's not like you want to leave or go do something else. You are thoroughly entertained, but it's you don't take this movie serious enough, or it doesn't do anything to make it stand out that you walk away with saying I need to see it again, or that was the greatest movie I've ever seen.
I mean, compared to we just kind of reviewed Sorry to Bother You, but I was thinking about that for days. Not that's all I was thinking about, but it kept popping in my mind. I kept thinking about it. Skyscraper, I thought about it on the way home, and then I was done with it. I was good.
I feel like this is gonna be interesting for us to maybe we need to start to do our scores not necessarily based off our review of the movie, but more of where it lands in its own category, because it's for a drama, if a drama doesn't deliver, you give it a lower score, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a better movie than, it was a worse movie than Rampage. That's, I get what you're saying, why you had that dilemma of 2.5 and 3. That was the same dilemma I was having before I gave mine, but I went more on the generous side because I was entertained, but it's with Red Sparrow, that's one that I know we gave lower scores. It's that's another one where it's it was more of what you were trying to present it as, yourself as. This would be another movie topic discussion.
I know. I'm
because it's I was
slow it down.
It was one of those. It's yes, I'm taking what you're telling me, but it's not clicking compared to this one, and even Rampage and his other movies. It's I know what you're telling me, it's clicking, and I'm being entertained, but I'm not taking it serious. So it's kind of
yeah. So I mean, we'll kind of. We'll work on that,
right?
Maybe we can come up with something.
Can we put it's our scores with an asterisk of solely based on is it entertaining or not?
Yeah, I know, right? We'll have to kind of we can discuss that off air and kind of see how to how to improve our grading system, how to make it more consistent and fair.
I mean, if there's anyone that has kept track of our scores, that would be really helpful to share with us so we can know what, because now I'm thinking back of what other movies have I given 3?
We should we should just get a list and just have it here, so we can, because we're always we always kind of refer to previous scores and things, not always, but a lot of the times we do. So if we just kept a list here,
right,
and that way we can just look and be oh, well, remember you gave Strangers 2 or whatever it's called.
Strangers Pray at Night.
Strangers Pray at Night. You gave that a 1.5 or whatever.
Yeah, and it's just well, that one, but that was a terrible. See, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, we don't need to get into all that right now. We can talk about that later. But anyways, okay, so you're giving it a 3. I'm giving it 2.5. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So listeners, let us know what you guys give it. We want to know your thoughts on the movie. If you loved it, if it was everything you were hoping for and everything you were expecting, or if you left a little disappointed. And you can also let us know, what your favorite rock movie is. Just curious to know. Maybe take a little poll and just see.
I know we didn't review Jumanji, but now I'm stuck on this.
Don't be too stuck on it. It's okay.
But yeah, so definitely, listeners, just let us know your thoughts. If you want to chime in on this debate of how do you rate a movie?
If you have any recommendations on how we can improve our grading system, please let us know.
I think we have a new real conversation topic.
That could be. Who knows? Stick around and continue to check in with us, and maybe that'll be an episode. You never know.
That's true. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you so much.